I tell you, good manners will get you lots further in this world than good looks. And if you want to have good manners, you got to listen to those who know what good manners are. But then, some folks don't want to hear any advice from anybody. And you can generally be mighty sure that that kind of folks are going to land right in the middle of trouble sooner or later. Take the Dogoshes. As nice critters as there ever was to look at, but they just naturally had bad manners, and they wouldn't take the advice of those who knew what was right. That's how it comes about that there aren't any Dogoshes in the world anymore. They weren't fit to live because they wouldn't listen to anybody. The Dogoshes were created by the good Lord, just like the rest of the critters, and on Sunday morning, they all went to church meetings along with the other folks. And the preacher told them how they had to behave themselves at church, how they had to stand up when they sang, and how they had to get down on their knees when they prayed, and how they mustn't talk or fool around during the sermon, and how they had to put something beside 10 buttons in the contribution box when it was passed around, and how they must be sure not to look around themselves every time somebody came into the church, because all that was nothing but bad manners. Well, sir, the Dogoshes didn't feel very well acquainted with the other critters because they had just been created yesterday, as you might say, and they didn't have much time to visit around with the neighbors. So they were curious about who had feathers or seals or hair, or who had just nothing at all on their bodies. When they got into the church, they just had to look whenever they heard somebody walking up the aisles with squeaky shoes on, because they wanted to know who it was or what they looked like and how they were dressed. I know some Dogoshes. But there was only one door in the back of the church, and the folks had to sit with their backs to the door. And when anybody came in, the Dogoshes turned their heads around and looked at them until they had come way up in the front and went over to the left hand Amen corner and sat down. By that time, somebody else had come in the door again, and before they had time to untwist their necks, they started staring at the new people, and they would watch them until they had passed down to the front and sat down in the left hand Amen corner too. Oh, they were just staring people down. Well, then, it kept on happening the same way till the necks of the Dogoshes were twisted around and around until they just naturally choked to death with their curiosity. And when the good Lord saw the Dogoshes choked to death because they didn't have any manners in church, he said he guessed he better not make any more of that kind. And he never did. And that's the reason there aren't any more Dogoshes in the world. And the next time you go to meeting, child, keep your eyes on the preacher, no matter what's happening behind you. Ooh, that came out of the South. That was so funny. I hope you enjoyed that story. I did. Thank you for watching.